Is listening just as important as talking in community? Of course it is. Of course it is. Hi guys, my name's Deepak Shukla. I'm the founder at the Pearl Lemon Group. We are a communications agency based in the UK, USA, as well as serving clients worldwide. If you're interested in getting some support with your corporate communication or any level of communication, then just get in touch and we'll be there to support you. And today, in day number 10 of 106 days of communications training, we're here to talk about the art of listening fundamentally. But before we get into it, feel free to click the link in the description below to get access to 7 additional strategies that are not shared in this training. And please do comment, like, and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me if you're enjoying these videos. So look, fundamentally, I want to talk about. I'm not going to do much further than quickly state the obvious. Listening is just as important as talking in communication, absolutely. But it's active listening, okay, which you've probably also heard of. Like, actively listen to what it is that people are saying, and I want to go through some practical things to consider when it comes to active listening. So you want to fundamentally control your emotions and control your nerves, because what happens is people get nervous and or they get emotional, or the other person gets emotional, and that can be communicated as nerves. But basically, something causes you to get emotional and for you to get nervous, which can be yourself or it can be the other person. Then all of a sudden your ability to actively listen, so your ability to actively listen goes through the toilet, and as a consequence you begin to miss things. Okay, so this is really the key, that's key to listening being as important as talking, but why people screw up actively listening and why people don't even realize they're screwing up active listening, because they are thrown by emotions. Okay, not just thrown by emotions, they're thrown by the voices in your head. So emotions in this context are getting nervous, feeling like you're under attack, feeling pressured, feeling like you're out of time, feeling anything that gets in the way of your ability to listen, okay, and to pay attention to what's being said, as well as, and we're not even scratching the surface, as well as what's not being said, as well as the inferences, as well as the questions, as well as the tone, as well as the pace, as well as the style. Okay, and then the voices in your head, which are, how do I respond? I need to make sure I say this. I need to make sure I say that. Oh, what about, I've got to take the dog out later. Oh, I've got to go pick up some milk and bread. I've got to blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden, you really capture oftentimes about 30 to 40% of what's actually going on. Because there's always like tons of stuff that are going on in a phone call, from looking at where people's eyes move, from looking at their body language, from looking at their posture, from looking at slight turns and nods of their heads, of listening for pauses, listening for doubt, anxiety, insecurity, listening to the choice of words that they use. Are they more emotional? Are they more analytical? Are they more data driven? Are they reserved? Are they a stone and you don't know how to read because they don't give much of a cue, so therefore you need to damn ask? Listening is incredibly important, and actively listening is incredibly important. And people often get this wrong because of the emotional aspect of what happens in a call, alongside missing all of the inferences that become part of the listening game. So you're listening for words, you're listening for language, you're listening for signs and signals. And really, that's the part that becomes important, signs and signals, when it comes to ultimately listening. Because what you're looking for is clues, signs, signals that make you Sherlock, okay? Signs and signals that make you Sherlock, which means actively listening is just as important as talking in communication. And this gets amplified when there's more than one person in the room, okay? Whether it's a living room, whether it's the sales room, whether it's the bedroom, wherever it is, you need to read the cues, you need to hear what's really going on. And let's briefly, because it's not quite covered in this video, just briefly touch on how do I improve that, Deepak? So number one, I would like you to, for example, in your takeaways at the bottom, demonstrate a couple of things in terms of what you've heard from what I've said. So that's the takeaways that we describe. Okay, so leave timestamps if you're watching about comments as to what is it that I'm saying. Number two, what is it that I've not said that's important to the conversation? What is it that I could be saying from my tone, from my pace, from the context of the overall training? What else do you think is important to me from the way that I'm saying what I say and from what I'm not talking about? So that's like number two, okay, in terms of practice. And then number three, go and repeat that across all of the other videos. Go and look at the takeaways, write them out so that you have key takeaways, and think about my tone, think about my pace, think about my examples, think about what's being said, what's not being said, and then really, in this takeaway at the bottom of this video, consider, well, if I was to meet Deepak on the basis of these videos, what would be important to when I listen, and therefore how I should respond. So listening and actively listening is more important than talking, because actively listening should dictate your communication with your prospect, your friend, the suspect, the client, whoever it is. Actively listening should help steer the narrative. There you have it, guys.